Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you once again for clicking on the PenBoyRoy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the Visconti Mirage Fountain Pen. Before I get started, let me give a big shout out to my sponsors, Kenro Industry, the official US distributor of luxury brands such as Montegrappa and Aurora. They are also responsible for the new Savage Esterbrook Esty. Check them out at your favorite retailer. This channel is also sponsored by Goldspot Pens, home of fountain pens of the world. Check them out at goldspot.com and sign up for their newsletter to stay up to date on all things fountain pen virus related, as well as to get a coupon on your first order. The Visconti brand was created in the year 1988 by the great Dante Del Vecchio. The philosophy of the brand was to create and bring back limited edition pens with designs that invoke emotion from the bearer of the pen. Although at the time a relatively new brand, and in the grand scheme of things, even still today, it was this philosophy that brought the brand to a level of prestige that rivals that of some of the biggest brand names in the industry. The Visconti brand since then remained a powerhouse in the fountain pen world, infecting millions with the fountain pen virus, and to this day continues to do so. In the year 2017, the brains and mastermind, the great Dante Del Vecchio, whom was responsible for the success of Visconti for the past 3 decades, was removed from the company due to undisclosed inner-house politics. With Dante went the philosophy that previously established the brand. In its place, a new concept and philosophy, seemingly to make pens whose names are supposed to mess with your vision and perception of reality, but don't really. The first was the Visconti Vertigo, a pen with a concept of giving the user a feeling of vertigo when looking at the pen. This year, the year 2018, Visconti released a second pen that fits the bill of the new concept. I'm talking about the Visconti Mirage, a pen with design elements meant to create the perception of an art so beautiful it's both elusive and elusive. It's like I'm looking at it and holding it, but I'm not. With it, as per the Visconti press release, are 2 new innovations. One is the clip, where the metal construction is exposed and shown to cut through the cap. Very impressive, because no one's ever done that before. The second innovation, taking the magnetic My Pen System disc, and instead of putting it on the top of the cap, get this, they put it at the bottom. Both new and truly amazing innovations. I have to admit, the concepts of the Vertigo, as well as this new Mirage, invokes a feeling of bafflement, which makes me realize bafflement is also an emotion. So I guess Visconti is still making pens with the intention of invoking emotion. That's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone, those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad, depending on you. The nib is a newly designed No. 5 steel Bach nib with diamond and spade type designs. It doesn't have a breather hole and is branded Visconti. Underneath the brand name, there's an F indicating that this is a fine nib. Notice that there is a small circle above the brand name. This is a symbol that represents the fine nib size. Medium would show 2 circles, and as you can see, 3 circles represents a broad nib. The feed is a standard plastic feed found on Bach nib units. The nib and feed are part of an unscrewable nib unit that screws into the grip section, and the grip section has a magnetic assembly for capping. The grip is a straight tubular grip made of the resin found in the rest of the pen body. The grip threads are a metal thread assembly that also has threads on the inside for threaded converters. The grip screws into the metal thread assembly of the body, where the start of the body has these grooves designed for locking the cap into place once magnetically capped. There is a rather dramatic step where the cap meets the body. Although the step is rather drastic, it's pretty high up and won't interfere with writing, even for the highest of grippers. The body tapers with 3 long grooves shaped into the length of the body of the pen. At the end of the pen is our end finial, where we have the My Pen System disc magnetically attached. The cap is more of the same design with the long grooves tapering to the top of the cap, where we see the hinge of the Ponte Vecchio bridge-inspired clip. The clip is the familiar arch spring-loaded clip with the brand name laser engraved. The center band has the model name engraved in it in 3D block letters with hash lines in and around it. The rest of the center band is filled with a waved pattern filled with the same angular hash lines and made in Italy engraved. If you look closely, the bottom of the E in the made is so faint, it almost reads Mad effin' Italy. I like it. The pen was packaged in a gray outer cardboard box that departs from the beige colored box that we are used to seeing. Inside that box is a newly designed two-tone shoebox style box. Open that up, and you have your pen inside the familiar and uniquely loud plastic sleeve, as well as your included warranty information, an ink cartridge, and a standard non-threaded, non-branded ink converter. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good. Those elements about the pen that are good. The nib I'm using here is the Fine, inked with Noodler's Black. Redesign or no, breather hole or no, I have to say that this pen showed up to play. And play it does. This nib is tuned to perfection with an overall smoothness that will satisfy the palate of even the most sensitive of writers. Is there feedback? Sure there is. But it's not present in the way of toothiness. It is, however, present due to the lightness of the pen body overall. Although a smooth writer, there is a distinct sense of the nib dragging across the paper that is felt throughout the whole pen, as opposed to just at the tip of the nib. I know it sounds weird, but it's almost as if the sensation reverberates through the entire pen, being that the pen is so light and offers nominal shock absorption. This may sound like a negative thing. However, it is exactly the opposite. I can certainly say that the sensation of writing with this pen is genuinely satisfying and unique in experience to the point of bliss. As I said before, this pen is on the lighter side, but don't let that fool you into thinking that it feels lacking in any way. It doesn't. It actually feels appropriate. Unposted, the balance is fantastic. The feel posted is decent and doesn't post very deeply. This makes posting noticeable, but not necessarily back-weighted. When it comes to the looks of the pen, suffice to say that it is swirled and marbled wonderfully. Although this is not a turned acrylic pen and rather injection molded, there are virtually no relief marks anywhere in or on the pen that are visible. The overall look of the pen is sleek and luxurious for sure. The feel in the hand is one of a sturdy and decently built pen. Capping is satisfyingly strong and secure with a comforting and satisfying snap to it. The facets and the grooves along the body and the cap always line up due to the cap ridges and grooves that lock into place once capped. There is not much in the way of wiggle room between the cap and the pen body once capped. I'd have to also say that the redesign of the packaging and the boxing and the overall presentation looks much less antiquitous and lends itself to a more modern and sleek style. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. This pen has an MSRP of $159. At online retailers in the United States, this pen can be had for a discounted price of $127.20. The MSRP alone makes this the cheapest Visconti fountain pen to date. Then consider the online retailer discount offered, and this pen is pennies in the grand scale of Visconti price points. What could possibly be the catch? What could ruin this awesome pen that writes so well and has such a low price point to boot? Well, there are a few things. Some nominal, and some major. And thus, we move on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. Let me start with the minor stuff. The things that are not nearly deal breakers, yet worth mentioning. And for one, the international converter that's included is not threaded. So that means you can't simply push the converter in to seat it with the pen's grip section. No, you have to actually screw it into the pen, thereby making your own threads in the converter by virtue of the inner threads of the grip carving out threads into the plastic of the converter. It's not a huge deal since the converter walls are thick and you don't have to worry about the threads cutting too deeply and causing leaks. But you do have to do it over and over, in and out, several times just to get it to fit appropriately, then clean the shredded plastic carved out of the converter from the grip section and off your converter itself. After that, you're pretty much good to go. The issues that are deal breakers, in my opinion, are in the quality control and the build quality of this pen, which is a crying shame because this pen is otherwise solid. I don't know if this is isolated to just my pen, but I can't believe that I am this unlucky that things like this just happen to me and only me. You see that gray ring? That's the magnet that's in the cap that keeps the cap shut. In the process of capping and uncapping the pen in normal use, the magnet in the cap dislodged and came out, making the pen completely uncappable. The magnetic ring inside the cap held on to the magnet on the grip, and thus the pen easily drops out of the cap. This is how pens go missing. Could I get some 2-part epoxy and fix it myself? Sure, but I shouldn't have to do that, and neither should you. I ended up contacting Tom at Goldspot Pens, and he was able to just easily replace it. Easy peasy. But again, shouldn't have to do that. I've not seen what I'm about to talk about personally, but I've also heard of instances where the center band also fell off on relatively new pens with minimal and gentle handling. After seeing how the adhesive holding the magnet in place inside the cap gave out so easily, the idea of the center band also falling off seemed like a reasonable and probable possibility as well, even though, like I said, I didn't personally see it. Now, like I said, this could have just been the lotto of unlucky for me, and this is the only pen that this will happen to. But I don't think that is the case. I think that the finishing of this pen was not done as diligently as the more costly Visconti pens. That, or they used the same adhesive Derek Zoolander used in the building of the Derek Zoolander School for kids who want to read good and want to do other stuff good too. And it just didn't want to hold. I get that this is a cheaper pen, but any amount of money, no matter how little, is too much for something that falls apart when it shouldn't. Fortunately, the distributor, Coles of London, backs retailers like Goldspot Pens and Goulet Pens so that the retailer can make things right as expeditiously for you as possible. That's all I have for the ugly. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Visconti Mirage fountain pen? This one legit kills me to say. I actually love the pen with its looks, the feel in the hand, and above all else, the writing experience. But I am not one that can have peace of mind with the possibility of the magnet or the center band coming off now or in the future. For me, that takes away from the experience. This is a wonderful hobby where the devil is in the details, and the fountain pen virus infected are moderately to severely symptomatic of OCD. And if that's the case, and you're who I'm describing, I say holster up and don't pull the trigger on this pen. If, however, you're not as completely emotionally disturbed and obsessively compulsive as I am, and can live with the chances, or don't care about the possibility of the aforementioned ugly until it happens, if at all, then go for it. It is a wonderful pen if it doesn't go Zoolander construction site on you. If you're watching this and you already have the pen, rest assured, I'm sure it's not something that happens to every pen. And even if it does, there is easy resolution, be it through the retailer or the distributor direct, so long as you didn't buy through a seller that is not recognized as an authorized retailer. That was my review of the Visconti Mirage. I hope it helped. Thanks once again to my sponsors, and most of all, thank you guys for watching and for all the love and support. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.